All right. So this is a 1986 Hamer Chaparral made in USA. I don't think this thing was played very much, but it obviously sat somewhere forever in its case because it's so these strings are so rusted, and it actually makes noise. These are, I don't know if you can hear that, but they're really rusted frets. The frets, the string has, see that? Maybe you can see it better against the white. Just rusted everything. The pickups look okay. The single coil's not too bad in there, but then all of these, the Floyd stuff is all rusted. Anyway, I'm gonna take it apart, clean it, polish the frets with steel wool and these fret erasers like this. I have all the different fret erasers, but we'll use these. I'll use those today. We'll do some of this stuff today to get the fretboard going. We'll use some of this to clean off all the dirt first, and then I'm going to wax it with this. We'll use this to clean out the electronics, spray those out, and I'm going to start off with steel wool to get it going, and I'll tape off the fretboard with some of the painter's tape just to protect the rosewood. The fretboard, everything looks really good. It doesn't look like it's been played at all, hardly, and there really are. It's gorgeous Ferrari red. There's a few. There's one ding there and one ding there that you can see, but the rest of the guitar is gorgeous. Like the paint really held up. The only one other problem on this is this got broken in shipping, but I have replacements for that. So I have a bunch of the Hamer ones, and I might actually, there's one little that might come out actually. I might just put some locking tuners on this, but 86 serial number, stamped ink. And this is some stand rash right here, but very, very nice. And I like these two even back then they were doing recessed cavity covers. These are all recessed nice. Anyway, let me open this up and get everything taken apart, and I'll start cleaning it up. I'll be back. All right, let me start taking this stuff apart here. Yeah, even the locking nuts don't look like they've ever, I mean, they're rusted, but they don't look like they've ever been really messed with too much. Let's do this. Also, do you guys see this? Who does it like this? Why do you guys put the balls at the top? Just cut the balls off and string it through the bottom like they're supposed to. I don't know why people do it that way. One, I personally think it looks ugly, and I just don't understand why you would do that and put the ball end up at the tuners. Anyway, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. I feel like I should be wearing gloves with these strings. They're so rusted. You need a tetanus shot after this. Oh, that's even loose. See how loose that is? So I will fix that. Get these all taken out. Whew, those are rusty. All right, get rid of those. All right, get these thrown away because this is disgusting. All right, let me take this truss rod cover off. I want to check the truss rod on this because I haven't really looked at it yet, which is kind of scary sometimes, but since this guitar doesn't look like it was ever played, or if it was very, very rarely. Yep, truss rod looks perfect. We'll clean this up too, but that's that one. And what I like about these hammers, these old hammers, is they have, see, that looks great, maybe not even touched before. But what I like about them is they use the exact same type as a Gibson. I have 3 of these hammers. I have a Scarab and another Chaparral they're both in candy apple red. This one's Ferrari red. But here's a little better look of these frets without strings on. Anyway, they're really bad. The corrosion on them. Some of them are almost like green. Anyway, I'll get that taken care of. All right, let me start taking this Floyd apart. I don't even know if I might be the first one that's ever taken these plates off before, because these screws look like feel like they've never been taken out. The back doesn't look bad with the metal stuff. None of these are corroded because they were laying in the case, so I guess that's why they're still okay. curious to see what I'll find in here. Yep, I super doubt that anybody ever opened this up before. You can see in there, it looks very undisturbed. Just a little dust. Check this out too. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever been in the electronics either. It's cool because these electronic plate covers are metal because they're grounded. Usually in these hammers they got a little wire that's grounded to one of these screws on the metal plate here. So we'll see if this one has that. I'm sure it does. Yep, right here. So that's where the grounding wire is. It's a little corrosion inside here, but yeah, looks good. And then in here they have the Hamer branded pots. There you see. Yeah. Hamer branded pots in there. There's this one. Anyway, this shielding plate looks a little, you know, corroded, but all the wiring in there looks really good. So should be good to go. And then here's a close-up of the tremolo cavity. That also looks really good in there. Nothing looks like it's been messed with for almost 40 years. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm just gonna clean these pots out with some contact cleaner really quick, just because they've been sitting forever. These actually feel really good. All right. All right. I think that's good. I'm gonna put this down there a little bit because I'm gonna clean the guitar in a bit. All right, let me take these are the springs. This should drop right out. So that's just the regular Floyd. I'm gonna tighten, this shouldn't be moving around like that. I'll tighten that up. But I'm going to take all this stuff apart and clean it. Because it's pretty gross. Ooh, that one's locked. There we go. These old ones, these old Floyds are crimped in here, but I'll oil these up. These screws aren't rusted. A little bit there, but I'll clean that out. And then these blocks, the little string retainer blocks, they look pretty good too. There's nothing really wrong with them. Like I said, it looks pretty new. But we're going to take all those out. And this one. So those just fall out. If you don't know what a Floyd does, and they all go in these little holes here, but I want to get it all cleaned out. So these had some rust on them, and I'd like to get those cleaned as well. Anyway, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to condition this board first because it is super dry and dirty, but I want to get it loosened up a little bit. And then I'll tape it off after I let this sink in for a minute. And then I'll start doing the steel wool. The steel wool might take it off honestly good enough to where I'm happy with it, but I do have the thread erasers just in case. Again, that's the 65 lemon scented oil. Let's just see how well this goes first. Actually, let me do this first. And this is just so the magnets don't take up all the silver, or the steel wool, I'm sorry. I'm actually going to take these out too and clean these. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what they should look like. So those are what those look like. And then that's the clean one. It's almost like it's got a little nick right there. But there's little, very tiny, you can see right in the light, very tiny where the strings were sitting for so long. But anyway, this is what I'm looking for as compared to this, because this feels like garbage. So I'm gonna get going on those and I'll be right back. I'll do a little bit of this as I go and record as I'm going down the neck. This steel wool does pretty well, and then I go to the 2000 grit, and that takes more of the black stuff off, and then the 4000, and then the 8000 grit, and that really shines it up really well. These are much better. Oh my gosh, yeah. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna keep doing this. I've only done, so I have 19 frets to go. I'll be right back. Some of these are really corroded, but it's coming off, but it's taking some elbow grease. But I'm happy with how it's coming out. Basically, it's moving down with one piece of tape and then taping over what I just did, and I'll clean that off when I recondition the board again. But that'll all come off. Actually might be getting some new wool here. This 1200 grit one is good after the steel wool. It seems to take the rest of the black gook off. And then I do 2000, 4000, 8000 grit and get them nice and polished. These are coming out very nice though, compared to what it was. All right, I'll be back. All right, I'm at the 12th fret, halfway there. This is a 24 fret guitar, set neck. These were pretty much, especially the ones with the Floyds back in the 80s. This would have been probably more than likely a custom order from a customer to get the Floyd, because Kramer had the rights, the exclusive rights to Floyd Rose back then. So when people were having Floyds put on other manufacturers' guitars, they had to buy them somewhere else, either from Floyd Rose or from a store, or someone get them off of a parts guitar or something, to have these installed by other companies, because the other companies didn't have the rights to buy them or put them on their guitars, so they had to be some kind of a custom order, which is more than likely the case for this one. But I don't know why you'd have a custom order and barely ever play the guitar. It just doesn't, there's no fretwear on this thing. It looks like it just sat in the case forever. Which is good for me, because I'm keeping this one. I'm probably going to sell my other 86 I have, because it's kind of not in as good a shape. It plays phenomenal, and the Kahler, I think it's called the 2520. It's a fulcrum bridge, like a Floyd Rose, but the locking system's different up here. It's a little different, but it stays in, it stays in tune just as well as a Floyd Rose, and it feels like a Floyd Rose. It's not a big problem, and it's a little more user-friendly than a Floyd Rose as well, setup-wise, because you can really set it up. It's got you can set the radius on those like a Fender trem. You can set the intonation in the back. It's really easy and nicely laid out. I'll do a review on that one too, and compare the two before I put it up for sale, because it's probably going to go up for sale, because this one is very nice. Anyway, I'll be back. Here, I figured I'd do one closer up so you can see the difference between how it looks now to when I get them all polished up. So I'll show you the difference. You can really feel it by the time you get to the 8000 grit block. It's very smooth and nice. The steel wool does a fairly decent job. If you just have regular, like if the fret looks like this already on a regular guitar, you could probably get away with just doing steel wool, but since these have been neglected for so long, then see how there's a little bit of, it's kind of little black dirt and stuff on there. This is the 1200 grit, but this gets rid of that. And then the 2000. $4,000. It already feels, you can tell underneath how the friction is going away. And then the 8,000. And that just makes it super smooth. It just feels nice. If this is a cheap guitar, whoops, my bad, the camera fell. I was saying if this is a cheap guitar, like a couple $100, I don't know, I might just not even bother taping the fretboard off. But these old hammers, these old US hammers, are literally like custom shop quality, on par with the old, you know, USA made Jacksons, the old Kramers, the old Charvels, all those old Super Strats, which this obviously is. These are on par with all that stuff. These were just made a little different because those other guitars, the Charvels, the Jacksons, the Kramers, those were all generally bolt-on necks, and most of those were like Fender scale, like 25.5 scale length. These set neck ones, they made a later one starting in like 87, I believe, the Chaparral. Hamer started making a bolt-on neck version that was 25.5 scale. These set neck 24 fret ones are Gibson scale. So these are 24 3/4. Generally, I've seen some online that are maybe 24, some maybe 25 that people have measured, but generally the general rule with these set neck Chaparrals with the 24 frets are Gibson scale length. So they have the Gibson style truss rods, very similar. So when you're playing this feels to me like I have like my 60s, or I had my 60s Les Paul neck. It's very similar to that. They're not super blade thin necks. They're pretty nice. Maybe like a soft C shape, but very similar to a Gibson contour of the neck. And they had these really crazy big knobs, oversized knobs that are kind of wacky, but they look cool. I like them. I see people selling these on eBay for $60 a piece. And this is the 8,000 on this one. These are coming out nice. Very happy with them. All right, I'll be back. 9 frets to go. And these guitars, I've always been into the Super Strat thing since I was a kid, which is obviously a long time ago. because I've had my, well, I bought my Kramer in 85 and I was 14 when that happened, 14. And I bought that and I've had that guitar ever since. And I'll do reviews on all my, I don't have a lot of guitars, I only have 4, but I'll do some in-depth reviews